Okay, I'm sorry. I had to stop the other video. My granddaughters came in and disrupted everything and made the dogs go crazy. So I'm just going to start over. Okay, let me see if I can do this. Okay, so we're going to go way back. We're going to go back to the late 1980s. So it would be 89. I went into business. I started a business which was an outdoor Christmas lighting business. I did commercial accounts, which were cities and towns and outdoor shopping centers. I did Christmas drive-through parks, which I'll talk to you about in a second. In 1989, I brought about 10,000 people to the tree lighting ceremony in downtown Union Township. I also did the same for Linden. I did the same for Red Bank. I did the same for Roselle Park. Maybe it wasn't 10,000, but in Red Bank, Peak streets were lined up with people. The downtown and Union had to close the downtown. I did a nice program in a lot of different towns. I can't even remember. So I started getting these threats from Mafia guys. The first one was from an Arnold Migliaccio. Arnold Migliaccio was from New York City, and his office was somewhere in the Bronx. I think it was Illuminations by Arnold or something. The five boroughs are split up into two mob guys. So in New Jersey, there was a little looser, and they had a few clients, and there was a guy Prodeco in Newark. I don't remember the family name there. And then there was this little creepy guy, Sal Bonafino, down in Philadelphia. And then in 1988, they put this guy, John Verona, from Verona Electric, in a business called Christmas Spectacular, to put all the other guys out of business so they could control all the Christmas business in New Jersey, which is about $20 million a year in Christmas. But they were doing it through special improvement districts. So if you see this, special improvement districts, those are SIDS, or business improvement districts. They're pedestrian malls. They're quasi-municipalities, but they're operating as 501(c)(3)s, which is illegal. And that's the way they don't have to account for their money. And they're paying 3 times as much for displays as if they would just get them from a regular company who did outdoor Christmas lighting. Now, you would think, oh, Christmas lighting, no big deal. But those contracts, I can give you an example of Trenton. I bid at $40,000. And I made, you do a presentation, have samples made for a special program for them. And I bid it at $40,000. And that was for them to own the decorations. And then they would incur an installation cost every year after, probably around $10,000 to $15,000 for me to install it. And it would always go out to bid. So if somebody or the town wanted to put it up themselves or whatever. So Arnold Migliaccio bid that for $150,000 a year on a rental. They don't own them. They rent them per year. And they funnel the money out through the SIDS and through a merchants association. And this is before they were using the 501(c)(3)s. They paid him, so 150 is 300, and 150 is $450,000 in 3 years versus my $60,000. Now, Arnold doesn't get to keep all that money. They tell him where to donate a lot of the profit to, which makes him look like a really good guy, and donated this money all around. But also in 1996, Arnold Migliaccio was indicted by 95 by Giuliani, Mayor Giuliani in New York City, for under the RICO Act for San Gennaro Feast. So I went and I called this is how you get guys off your back. Oh, and I got John Verona calling me, telling me something got to be done about you, you motherfucker. And you motherfucker, something got to be done about you. This is a veiled Italian threat. If you don't know Italians, that means you got to have somebody take care of me. And he's all freaked out. But I have a little bit of protection, which I'm not going to go into anymore. I'm not going to go into, but I don't have that protection anymore. Okay. So I had no idea about the mob being in the Christmas business, and the Christmas business for downtowns in like New York City. When I approached the Department of Investigation for Giuliani's office, I told them I'll bid on every business improvement district, which is a SID, in the 5 boroughs. The 5 boroughs are split between 2 mob guys. And the one is Arnold Migliaccio. The other guy, I don't remember his name. He's just a clown. Okay. See, these guys, they lack analytical thinking skills. They rely much on their violence and their threats. So there's a way to stand up to them, and that's what I'm going to tell you. So as John Verona gives me that call, I also made a call to a mayor, and the mayor. I just told the mayor that he was also threatening a guy on the Christmas committee who had a local business, and that's all I said. I said, listen, he's doing the Italian thing, and of course the mayor said, I'll take care of that, and bang, and that there's John Verona feeling like a douche, and he calls me up screaming at me, hey dude, you're the one that's threatening people, not me. I don't really care what you do. Migliaccio tried to play a game with me, like, oh, work with me, I'll make you stronger. He sends me up to Newburgh, New York, which is like a 3-hour trip for me each way. And it's like a $2,500 thing, and accused my guys of stealing stuff and part of the wraps. And I went back there and I put the wraps. I went to his place, which was like a fortress in the Bronx. No windows, cameras everywhere, big metal doors and bay doors. And my guys had gone there. His sons, who were crackheads, were threatening my guys. And, I know they didn't steal anything because they were scared to even be in there. So I went there myself. And I rang the little bell with the camera. The guy let me in. I dressed in regular work clothes. And because a lot of times I had suits on when I gave presentations and stuff. So I went up to the office. I walking down in the back staircase down to the warehouse. He's leading me on a Migliaccio. And I stop on one floor. I see a garland machine. I start talking about that. Then he realizes, oh, fuck, it's Tony. It's really him. So wait a minute. How does he know? He doesn't know it's me. So how you freak out in Italian and is a Mafia guy is you creep up on them and they don't know it's you. That freaks them out because I could have just shot him in the head right there if I was one of them, because that's how they think. But I wasn't that. I just wanted to show him. Anybody can get to you just like you're getting to me. And so then I went to the Department of Investigation. I've been on San Gennaro Feast. His sons were there. They own a couple of buildings and their restaurants, and they had a balcony over one. And they were up there, his sons, and they were ready to jump over. They wanted to get me. But they knew I was working with the Department of Investigation and Giuliani, and their follows under RICO Act. So as I'm measuring the streets and stuff, they can't do nothing to me, and I know it. And I'm kind of chuckling, So this is how you do it. You go right in their face, and you show no fear. That's number one. Not that they can't come and shoot me tomorrow. The FBI is the one who sent them after me, and the state attorney general's office, because at that time I was unaware of why they wanted the Italians to have so much business. I figured it out now later on, but I'll go into that. So that I shook Arnold up with, but he had to have some respect for me there. So then there's also a respect thing that you have enough guts to go stand up to them. So watch this video first, and then there's some documentation in there, and you can pause it and read the documentation. That'll give you a better understanding. This is just to show what I did. So when I went to the Department of Investigation with Giuliani's office, I told them I'll bid on San Gennaro Feast, which I did. I didn't get the deal. And then I bid on every business improvement district in the 5 boroughs against Arnold, and I lowballed them. So, if they have $5 million worth of Christmas business in New York, yeah, I was less than half of what they were charging. Like they'll charge someone to hang a snowflake on a pole, $800-900 on a rental. I was doing it for $150 or something like that on a rental. If they purchased it, it was like $200 the first year and, $100 the second year to store it and install it and change the bulbs and stuff. So the stuff goes across the street. I would sell them whatever the decoration cost is. I don't know, it might be a $700-800 unit. And they were renting them for like $2,500 a piece. So if you see the things going across the street, yeah, they're $2,500 a piece or better, And this how Italian guys sell. They sell it. It's like they come with some photo. This is what they were doing back in the day. Photocopies of decorations. I got a candy cane, a snowflake, a bell, a tree. If you don't order from me, you can't get no decorations. This they dealt with the business improvement districts. So, so this is what I did. I went to every business improvement district and I told them, I'm working with Giuliani's Department of Investigation and we're bidding on the Christmas decoration. So the director of the business improvement district would shit in his pants because he didn't want to be included in the RICO Act deal. So they go to Arnold and they cry, Arnold, this guy's come in, he's got us a price, $5,000 and you're at 50. What am I going to do? You know exactly what Arnold did. He lowered the price. I must have cost Arnold $2-3 million. It would have been easier for those assholes to buy me off than to put the strong arm thing on me, but they're not that smart, because I could have went in another business instead of me costing them $2-3 million. But hey, they're Italian mafia guys. They belong to they're all Freemasons, when they're up in that level, when they're made guys. Not talking about the guys who are associates who run businesses for them. Like I knew Vinny Ravo, he was a hitman for the mob, but he wasn't a made guy. Okay. And, he was Vinny the Hammer, and he was involved with some Giants things. Bada Bing's, that was Satin Dolls on Route 17 in Lodi. That was Vinny Ravo's place. So I'm an Italian from North Jersey. I've been around. I know people. And I'm not going to go any further into that. I'm trying to feed my family. So when I did that, Arnold had to respect me, but he had to come back after me harder. So he got me in New Brunswick I bid a $50,000 contract. I don't even know what they paid him, but I know it was probably $200,000 or better on that contract in New Brunswick. And this is how they do. So when they get all that extra money, like in Trenton, I bid $40,000 on them owning the decorations. I designed a special program for them, had samples made. And what they do is they don't go to bid. And they took the samples and gave it to Arnold Migliaccio, where I had $40,000 to own them and maybe $10,000 to $15,000 to install them every year. I don't remember the exact figures. And they paid him $150,000 a year on a rental, not to own them for 3 years. So they paid him $450,000 over a 3-year period, and would have only cost them like $70,000 or $80,000 from me over 3 years, probably less than that. But okay, that's what they do. Now, they don't like Arnold, but because they're Freemasons and they're CIA, they're all connected. The FBI, the CIA, the mobs, all connected. They're all the same. Don't think they're any different. They're not. They're all connected, and big corporations, Clear Channel, all of them, they're all in the same club. Okay, so now, I got Arnold off my back. I got this guy, Verona, breaking my balls. So I'm like, he's going around telling everybody I do shitty work. Yeah, his shit was falling down. These guys couldn't even put stuff up. It was falling down. When the wind blew a little bit, poofed, all the stuff fall off the poles and stuff like that. So he's criticizing my work. I never criticize his work. I don't really care what he does. I'm doing my work. I'm bringing 10,000 people to a tree lighting ceremony. Did he ever do that? No. Did anybody you ever know do that? No. I was very good and I worked very hard at what I did. And Red Bank and Roselle Park, even Roselle, poor Mr. Williams was the DPW guy there, was in charge of Christmas for all the years he was there. He was using me. It was under the bid threshold to just put up their 20 decorations. He was such a nice man. He was a black man. He was a very nice man. We got along great. And then one year they told him not to use me, and Verona called him up, and so then they made another phone call, and Mr. Williams wasn't in charge of Christmas anymore. This is how they operate. So Christmas doesn't sound like a big deal to anybody. So if you've been to a Christmas theme park, so I've been getting threatened around the town. So you have Perdeco around the North, Jersey City, Hoboken, Elizabeth. Like those are his, like that was his area. Migliaccio was in the city, but he grabbed a few things in New Jersey. He's a very influential guy. He was a elected their own little mayor in Little Italy, New York, and he was the mayor of Little Italy, which is kind of funny. So anyway, Giuliani has him indicted, but they do eventually dismiss the charges. But a lot of that was like, fuck, this guy down here that Giuliani sent in cost me $2 to $3 million. He makes the deal with Giuliani, whatever was doing that. Giuliani makes believe like he never heard of me before in his Department of Investigation. And now he has his own problems. That's what you get for not helping the people who need your help when they were really coming after me, because I'll get into more stuff, what they did to me. But I kept them off my back. So I'm not getting killed. I'm walking the line. I'm making complaints to cities and towns. I'm not complaining about the mob guys. Now I'm letting all of that out. I'm older. I don't really care anymore. Giuliani did not get rid of the mob. The mob just stopped doing the prostitution and the illegal drugs and all that bullshit. They went into legitimate businesses that get government contracts that they launder money to. So when you pay Arnold Migliaccio $150,000 for something that costs $40,000 or $50,000 to do, you don't let him keep an extra $100,000. You tell him, you split it. It's called laundering money. It's like $75,000 goes to Migliaccio, and $75,000 they tell him who to give it to. A Democratic candidate, an NGO, you would think in today's world, Antifa or Black Lives Matter, to create havoc, to pay these people this bullshit. Because they don't use their own money, these politicians and these George Soroses and stuff. No, they control everything. They don't use their own money. They use your tax dollars to fuck you, to stick it in your ass. Now, I left the thing out that I'm very intuitive, and I do get private revelation from God. And that probably has to do with the NDE I had when I was 8 years old. I was run over by a car. I got hit by a car. I flew a couple of 100 feet in the air, landed on the ground. The car ran over me, dragged me under, and I almost was ripped in half. They somehow glued me back together, and less my spleen and a lot of scarring, especially in my stomach area, but even my forehead, but you can't really see it. And I healed miraculously. And that was from God. And I promised God when I was out of body during the accident, and I was probably dead on the road and the doctor revived me in 1963, I promised I would be good. And so I never, ever forgot that promise, because God gave me life back. I'm married, I have a family, been married 49 years. Not that life's easy, and not that being married for 49 years is easy either. But that's me. So now we're at 18 minutes. We're at the Department of Investigation, Arnold, blah, blah, blah. I come up with, no one's helping me. I go to the OAG's office in New Jersey. That's the Office of Attorney Generals in New Jersey. I file complaints. They're not helping me. I'm 10, 15 years into this fighting with these guys. They can't get me out of business because my work is way too good. I mean, I had HBO call me for a movie. I didn't know what movie was, Serendipity, but I refused. And also Disney, I didn't even return their calls. So my work was exceptional. I grew up kind of putting up commercial Christmas lighting, learned from my dad. So I was very good. I know how to do rigging and anchoring, and electrical. I knew it all. And I have a background in computers, and also auto mechanics. So there isn't much I can't do. My IQ is like 135. So most things I'm very common sense on. I would say my strength is analytical thinking and being intuitive. And so I was always figuring them out. I even put those toll booths over the George Washington Bridge. I even put snowflakes over that for a couple of years. I did Fort Lee, Cliffside Park. I'm sorry, I just wanted to throw out a few towns I decorated, but I had 66 towns that I won the bids on. But when they started putting the special improvement districts in, which started in the 80s, I dwindled down to finally in 2007, after Hershey Park didn't pay me for putting up their Christmas park, screwed me out of $60-something thousand. Just said, we're not going to pay you. Same thing the Art Center thing did. So I'm going to tell you how the Art Center thing came. So the Garden State Art Center's Christmas drive-through park. So in 97, I went to the Art Center and I said to him, listen, and it was run by the state at the time. And I met all the parkway commissioners, Bucklew, Pat Haran, I can't remember the rest of their names. And when I walked in there, treated me like a king, because I gave them an idea. They were having negative publicity on how to bring people to a parking lot, amphitheater, and make it a drive-through Christmas park. And I gave them a complete program of how many cars they could queue, how much to charge, and I put charity in there, that they had to give a percentage to charity, because to me, Christmas is giving. So they said, well, we're privatizing with Clear Channel, which is Live Nation, which is, that's illegal, by the way, for them to let them run all the amphitheaters in the country. That's monopolizing. And also the parkway itself is a private road. Can't have a privately owned road in New Jersey and charge tolls on it. And in fact, I don't know how they were ever even revoking people's license for not paying the tolls, because it's a private company. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So then they said, do it next year with the new director that we put in there from Live Nation, which was called something different at the time. It wasn't called Live Nation then, but it's Clear Channel. Clear Channel is Sony, Clear Channel radio stations, Live Nation, amphitheaters, the music industry. Okay, so that's also monopoly. And also, so is Ticketmaster a monopoly. So anyway, I get off track a lot because I over-explain. So I want people to fully understand. And what I was up against was the State Attorney General's Office, Department of Community Affairs in New Jersey, and local public contract laws, which they're in charge of. And I was trying to get the SIDs to bid and the towns to bid, but they wouldn't take my bid. They're saying, we're a separate entity. And I'm like, no, they're arguing the word streets, and the statute means literally paving the street. So they put a, what'd you call it? They challenged the statute, saying that they didn't fit in that category of sectioning off a part of the town and charging a tax to the landlords to belong to their special improvement district. Otherwise, they'd get a lien on their property and get confiscated if they didn't pay the tax. When they auction, or what they call that, they auction off your house in like a foreclosure thing. So this is illegal because they're a quasi-municipality. They're using government funds to fund these organizations. So they didn't know what to do. So after 4 or 5 years of me not leaving them alone, actually 15 years, and going to the Attorney General's office, they said they're rendering an opinion. So listen, first off, just stop right there. If they're rendering an opinion on a statute, that means you don't believe that statute means how they've been enforcing it for years. You don't get to just do it your way. So I'll give you a simple example. I don't believe I have to stop at a red light if no cars are coming, that I could go through it. So I file a complaint in to the State Attorney General's office for an interpretation of that statute where it doesn't, I don't believe it clearly says that I have to wait till the light turns green. That doesn't mean while they're for 30 years, well, 35 years now, that they're going to render an opinion within 35 years that I can run every red light. You have to follow the law as it is until the opinion is rendered. So in my other video, I show you about that. So the threats, so I'm going to tell you the rest of the things about the threats. So Verona couldn't do anything to me, and Arlo Migliaccio couldn't. And plus, there was that little bit of protection I had. But the FBI and all, that's when I figured out they're laundering the money. See, in the beginning, I thought they were just jealous of my work because it was like so much better than their work. And I feel bad for New Jersey right now because now they have all crappy decorations everywhere. And John Verona is selling everybody like blue light bulbs for the snowflakes, which are very dim. It's like, never mind. It breaks my heart because I was very good at it. And I think that's what I was meant to do. And they took that away from me. So I lost my house. I lost my business. I lost my house. I lost everything I ever owned. And so then I started hustling cars because, yeah, I did Christmas decorations in the wintertime. But, you know, in the summer and spring, I did car dealerships and grand openings and put up flagpoles. Flew helium balloons. for car dealers and streamers I put up for them. So I had a lot of car dealer friends. It's in business like 22 years. And so I started hustling cars. So, but I was broke. I had put every penny into fighting them. The art center, because I'm jumping around a bit. So because the cities and towns were locking me out, blackballing me, I went to the art center, and that's where I came up with that idea. I had seen some guys put like do a street, decorate a street, and then put a can at the end of it, and you can throw a donation in. And from that, that's how I came up. Out of necessity, invention comes out of necessity. The idea to do drive-through parks in a parking lot, not a park, in a parking lot, and to queue cars and to put the decorations all around there, swing the cars around and around the back of the building. And it's like 2 miles by the time they get all the way through. And you paid, $12 or whatever it was at the time. Now they're charging like $20, but they don't give anything to at all to charity. In fact, they graft a lot of that cash out of there because a lot of people pay cash when they go through there. But at any rate, that's how I came up with the idea, was to get away from the mob guys because I can't beat them. I got the AG's office of New Jersey, the Department of Community Affairs, the governor, and the U.S. Attorney General's office, which was in Newark, which was Chris Christie, the guy who ran for president and eventually became the governor of New Jersey, which I still went to him again when he was governor of New Jersey. But it started with Christie Whitman and all the governors thereforth, even up to Goofball, the murderer, alleged murderer for putting everybody's grandparents in the nursing homes, Murphy, who is just a complete tool, in my opinion. So I do this thing with the art center. They don't pay me. They take the idea and they go all over the country. And so then Great Adventure starts doing it. I'm trying to think, Six Flags. Clear Channel took it all the way across the country, and I'll refer to that. Live Nation. Clear Channel is the same company. So they took the guy who was the first director in '97 was Jason Stone. The Highway Authority people didn't like him, and what they were doing, the Highway Authority, they wanted to retain the ability to give their friends front row seats for the concerts. And so Jason Stone wasn't for that. So they took Jason Stone out of there after 1 year and threw him into New York, the amphitheater, and I forget what city, what part of New York's in, like Long Island, but they threw him up there, and they brought in this guy Dominic Roncacci, Ron Case, to say it English way, from the Camden Arena facility that Clear Channel also rent. Dominic Roncacci is like stupid. He's like not a bright guy, but his family's obviously from somewhere. So they gave him the credit and promoted him the COO of Clear Channel for coming up with that idea that I had come up with 3 years before him. But that's okay, because it didn't go up till now we're in '98, and that was the first year of that show. After it did $1.5 million to $2 million, they decided to take it all around the country, and that's how you picked up Hershey Park with Sweet Lights Show, Six Flags doing them, and all the amphitheaters around the country, because I figured out a way to charge admission and sponsorship, like a ball field, sponsorship, instead of having a garbage can at the end and throwing in $1 or something like that. I made it, and you can never sell out because you don't have seats. Oh, they loved this. This was property that they weren't using in the winter and had to pay rent on or whatever. And now it's making $2-3 million. And I think New York did better than the Art Center originally, but they were doing very well. Mike Howard was the guy that they took, was my supplier. They made a deal with him, and they pushed me out of the deal. They owed me probably like $40-50 million, but I'm broke. I already spent $60,000-70,000 on lawyers, and they're all corrupt. The judges are corrupt. So here, I can give you an example. I'm with Clear Channel in the courthouse. So besides that, they bifurcated the case, and they took all the evidence out, and I weren't allowed to say anything about money or anything. So now we're just going to see if there's a contract. Well, all depositions, they're saying I was a disgruntled employee under deposition, under oath. Then they were saying I was a subcontractor. They were saying all kinds of things about me. When we get to the trial, they finally say, oh, he was a partner, a 1/3 partner. which is what I was. But he defaulted. Didn't have a countersuit that says if the jury finds I defaulted, that they win, basically. So even though they're lying about a contract the whole time, they could come in and admit there's a contract, but make up a new lie that I created some kind of problem and they had to have me escorted off the grounds, which is a total made up story. But the jury was a bunch of school teacher women. Most of them are liberal and like a little slow up here or something. And no matter, even though I told them in the beginning exactly what they were going to do, because I knew, and I tried to show them in deposition, they must have figured, hey, this is a big company. Why would they screw this guy? He must have did something wrong. So they find there is a contract, which they have to because they admitted there's a contract, but they find me in default, and it cost me $150,000. I owe Clear Channel $150,000 for breaching the contract, which I never did. And they took it all over the country. And I would say, if they did 20, 30 places, that was probably worth per year, probably 30 to $40 million per year. And figure over a 3 or 4 year period, they're over $100 million I made Sony Clear Channel in gross income. You know what? And where's my 1/3? And they're doing it for 30 years, 35 years, since 98, however many years that is. It's 36, 26, 27 years, something like that. So I have absolutely nothing. So I went in. So when I told you I did car dealers, when I closed up in 2007, they tried to kill me. They firebombed my van. And a firebomb does not make like a boom noise. It makes like really loud, like a furnace lighting off, but like really loud. And the whole van inside fills up with a ball of fire. And so Tony just dove out and didn't get burnt. That was that incident. A couple of other, like, put metal filings in the motor. I don't even know why they do stupid things. I give you a warning. Took the center bolt out of the counterweight, or I call it the counterweight, the weight on the front of the crankshaft. It has a technical name. Can't remember. Like stupid little things like that. Kind of like blow your engine up, but it didn't work because I saw the oil leaking out, and then I was able to tighten, put a bolt in there and tighten back up. It's a balancer. It balances the crankshaft. Anyway, the third thing they did was, which was the last thing, I went and I put up a Hershey Sweet Light show for them, even though that Mike Howard, oh, by the way, Mike Howard's an FBI informant, and mysteriously he hires a lot of illegal immigrants, but the ones who complain to him about him not paying them right or whatever, they disappear magically. I'll put it best way I could say that. He's like he was a drug dealer. He got busted by the FBI, so they put him in a witness protection plan. And then when they took him out, he went in. He worked for General Plastics, and the Christmas company he was stealing from them. He started his own company, making Christmas decorations. That's Mike Howard. He's a piece of crap. He looks like Danny DeVito. He's a little wormy, skirmy guy, but he thinks he's really smart. The only thing is, I am not like them, so I will not do what they do to me or what they threaten to do to me. I am not. I made a promise to God. I am not changing who I am for them. I'm not becoming an evil scum and trying to hurt people for what they stole from me. I won't do that. If they have a heart, they can give me money, the money they stole from me back, but they won't do that because they're animals. They're not really human. They think that they justify what they do, but it's wrong. So I want to make this, because this is 33 minutes long. So I went into the car business. I started hustling cars. I knew a lot of car dealers. Gave me cars on the arm, they call it, or you might want to call it consignment. And I was wholesaling them for them. So I knew guys who wholesale cars. Like new car dealerships, there's a lot of cars they get in on trade they don't want. So they sell them off. A lot of them do bids, but a lot of times they're out to wholesalers and you sell them to used car lots. That's easier for them to buy like that than worth a couple $100 than to go around and bidding on everything or trying to get cars, even though they get some like that. And I started doing that. Then I got a dealer license. I got a small office. Then I got a car lot. Then I had lost my lease there because they were building on the property. So I had to move down to South Jersey, which was very slow, and I was losing money. So I figured, you know what I'm going to do is I stopped filing in the sales tax. but I was buying assets. So I was trying to build up my business. But I knew I said I need like 3 years to get this. I'll have enough money. So, I had about 112, well, in my cost, about $120,000 worth of cars, and I had a good credit rating. And but somebody reported me for sales tax. I don't know who. Somehow sales tax comes at my door, but not the regular sales tax people who come. This is from Trenton, from the capital, like the head of the department of sales tax, like they're catching some big criminal. And so I tell them when they come in, yeah, I've been using sales tax money. I'm not making any money here. I didn't tell them I'm trying to build up some assets, but I said I can give you, because I had it in cars. So in other words, what I did was, what I had in cars is what I owed in sales tax, basically. And so then I would just incur some fine or whatever, but for not filing. But I had like all the money that I owed them. And I offered them the money. And they said, no, we don't want it. We don't do that. They wanted to come after me. So I said, well, what do you mean? So I called them back in again. They said, you got to file all the stuff from the past. So I tried to file my I'm locked out. They shut my corporation, my LLC down. So I called them up and I said, listen, come back in and talk to me. So they come back in and I say, listen, I've had a fight with the state for years. I don't want to fight anymore. I'm tired of fighting. I just want to pay you the money and go away. I'll go out of business. I don't care. I'll go bankrupt. I'll do whatever. I'll give you the money and I'll go. I'm going to give them all the money I owe them. They said, no, we don't want that. But I said, listen, I take one of the letters, which is in the other video that's linked, to prove that I'm not telling a lie. And I know that this is probably coming from that, because I'm still writing letters. Like you see me making videos. Well, I'm writing letters to Department of Community Affairs, to the AG's office, the OAG's office, the US AG's office, the FBI. I showed up in their secret Red Bank office, which you can find on Google. And they promised to give me an interview, but then they never did, because the higher ups said, oh, we don't want to talk about that. All I ever asked for from the OAG's office, Department of Community Affairs, the FBI, anybody, give me a letter saying that my complaint is invalid, that what they're doing is legal. No one will give me that letter. That's all I want. One letter. I still want it. Give me the letter that says that they're allowed to set up a separate entity. So what they did was, in the long run, because the street thing didn't work, they set up 501(c)(3)s. First thing is, go look up 501(c)(3)s. Can't be used as a public entity and use government funds. So this is what they do. They set up a 501(c). They tax everybody in the area who's in their special improvement district, which is illegal. They make you mandatorily belong to their charity, like their Clinton Foundation. You have to pay your tax into that. Otherwise, you get a lien on your property. Then the tax assessor, the tax collector, is the one who sends you the bill. They take that, they funnel the money to the 501(c), so they don't have to be considered a quasi-municipality. So you understand what a quasi-municipality is. It's something, entity created by the city, okay, in a municipality. So there's also quasi-government agencies. So like a volunteer fire department or a volunteer ambulance, first aid, those are quasi-municipalities. Whereas they can't go to their friend and take tax money and go buy a fire truck for $2 million. If it's only worth $1 million, they can't do that. They have to go to bid, right? You have to be accountable for your money, because government cannot create a private entity. So what they're trying to do is skate the law, and they put the private entity. So they do this with everything. So I'm going to give you an example. Go on your computer and type in cdc.org. That's a 501(c) CDC site. Then do cdc.gov. Wait, that's the government. That's a quasi-government agency. So where does the money go through? They're going to tell you, oh, it's a private entity. They don't have to go to bid. Yeah, they do. Anybody who uses government money and is created by the government has to follow local public contract laws or contract laws, U.S. contract laws. Have to account for your money. So the difference between a pedestrian mall, which that's the statutes in New Jersey, what a special improvement district or a business improvement district, whatever they name it, downtown New Brunswick Center or whatever they want to name it. It's still you can't change the name and make it something different. So this is what they did. They changed the name and they made it something different. So it's the same thing, but CDC.org is to trick you into thinking that. So that's why they can make a vaccine for $2 that kills you and sell it to the government for $150 a shot. Get it? They're not accountable for the money because they're using the .org. Well, otherwise they wouldn't even have a .org. Why would they even have one? They have the CDC.gov sites. Never mind. Okay, so in a municipality would be the same. I want to set up I used monkeypox, and the other one let me use chicken. What's that? The chicken virus thing they got coming out, bird flu. Okay, I want to set up an organization to help people with the bird flu in my city. So I go down there and I charter a 501(c), and I ask people for donations. That's legal, right? The government, the city approves it, and I get donations. I'm not using government funds. I'm not taking tax money. I'm not forcing. The difference would be if I went to the town and I said, I want every person in this town to pay me $1,000 a month to my 501(c). Otherwise, you put a tax lien on their property. That's what they're doing. Getting it? No one's getting it. No one's doing anything about it. And here I am, the lone wolf, getting my life threatened, getting blown up. Oh, they cut my pitman arm. So you don't know what pitman arm is on the truck. Your steering box comes down, and there's a pitman arm comes off of it. And the pitman arm has a gearing on one end, and it goes on the end of the steering box. And then it comes out and has a pin that goes into a rod. So I think it's called, I forgot the steering rod is called. And on the other side is an idler arm. So this pin is in there, and I have a truck with absolutely zero rust in it. There's no rust anywhere in the truck. Can't even find an orange spot on my pickup truck. The pitman arm is a very thick metal. It's like that thick. The only weak part would be the pin, like your ball joint, where it connects onto the rod. So you steer when you turn your wheel. The pitman, the gear, the steering box turns, and it turns the pitman arm left and right. So you turn left, you turn right. Well, this is backwards, but whatever. Okay, that's how that works. These fucking assholes cut my pitman arm in the middle. If you were a smart asshole, you would cut the pin because then it wouldn't look suspicious. So can you imagine going 65 miles an hour on the highway, which I did many, many days on the Garden State Parkway and whatnot, or 50, 60 miles an hour on the county roads, and my pitman arm snapped? Absolutely no steering. Nothing. It's completely disconnecting the steering on the vehicle. They cut it 3/4 of the way through or whatever, how much through, and I was driving around and I hit a little bump. I was pulling to a Wawa, and it snapped. And I pulled over, and I'm like, what the hell? I stopped. I went up on the grass, and I stopped. I was going to the right because I was going into the Wawa, but I couldn't turn into the driveway because I had no steering. So I just put it up on the grass. I got under it, saw the pitman arm. I had to get a tow truck, whatever. I look at that thing's cut. These guys tried to kill me with that. Seriously? You firebomb me. Now you're trying to kill me with the pitman arm. You're mad at me because I'm bitching at you. You know what? I'm bitching to the state. I'm not bitching about the mob. But now they took everything from me. So I lost my house. I had to fire sale my house. It was in foreclosure. I had to fire sale it. I got rid of my house. I lost everything. I see, no wedding band? Guess what? Tony had to sell all his gold, including his wedding band, to survive. Lived in the street. Got evicted with a forged warrant of removal. They never leave you alone. I still have assholes following me around because I never let it go. I do not let it go. You want to come kill me? Fuck you, kill me. Because I have to face God. And I'm telling you, I get private revelation, and don't think that I didn't try and think, wait, no. I'm just imagining things, or I'm very intuitive or something. No, there are things that happen to me that I'm not going to explain to you, but I'm telling you they are from God. There's no, you look at my prophecy videos I did in 2022 is exactly playing out as I said. And I know more, and I'm not saying it because I can't say it. Richie from Boston's on the right track. Watch Richie from Boston. I think that I yacked enough because we're at 45 minutes in this video. I really wish that people watched the whole video because they're doing this in every state and with every government agency. They're stealing your tax dollars like crazy. And the way to stop them, I'm giving you the way to stop them. First of all, don't be afraid of those assholes. They cower all the time. You can be just as fearful as frightful as they are. But I have God protecting me and St. Michael the Archangel. I don't really care about them. And I know where my destiny is. And if I don't make it to heaven, fine, I don't make it to heaven. But I did my best, and I'm not the perfect person. In other words, I've had my share of things, and a lot of things in what happened there, I may have not done correctly. Oh, I left out the sales tax thing. So sales tax tells me, no, we don't want your money. So then they send this clown in called Mr. Cosgrove. He was from the Galloway office. And he comes in and he's pacing around. And we're talking a little bit about what the state did to me, and how that's crazy what happened. And I just want to get out of this because I just want to give them the money. He's like, walking around, leaves, comes back next week. 1 week later, comes back, walking around in my office, talking, just walking, all nervous and shit. Leaves. Third time he comes in, doing the same thing, pacing, walks right up to my desk right next to me. He says, Tony, what we want you to do is we want to help you. We're not here to put people out of business. We want you to forget about the past, right? And just stay current. So it's like $100,000 I owe. So I'm like, hey, okay, what do you want me to do? Just start filing present. So I do that. I file in the present. And so all of a sudden, I go, I can't afford this place. It's not making enough money. I want to go back to a small office and then I can survive since I don't owe them that $100,000. I got 25, 30 cars. I got a couple classics. If you go to my Facebook page, you'll see a couple of the classics I had in the front. So right there is $40,000 worth of car, just so you know, just 2 cars. So I had a lot of cars. I was trying to build up assets and build up an inventory so that I can be much more competitive and not rely on consignment cars because there's really a small margin. Can't do, at least 30%. You can't do that. You can make $500 on the car. You can't survive on that when you're doing consignment cars. But even though I was pulling it off for a few years, when you sell a lot, you can do that. And down south, I was only selling a very few cars a month. So, long story short, he leaves after he tells me that. So I had the lady from, she was the head of, the supervisor of sales tax in New Jersey, in Trenton. Can't remember her name. And she came with her assistant. She came twice. She's like, oh, thank you. And then they sent that guy in. So I figured, hey, maybe they feel bad for me for what the state did to me. And they said, hey, forget about the $100,000. They do it all the time with sales tax. Car guys in the sales tax, they owe $500,000. They go, give me $10,000 and they let it go. But with me, they wouldn't even take the full amount. But okay, whatever. Now they say to me, hey, don't file any, just don't even file that. Just start fresh. So I said, okay. So I started fresh. A year and a half later, what do you think happens? I get a letter from a collection agency from the state says, you owe us, and I'm going to cut the story a little shorter because we're already 48 minutes. You owe us $300,000. What? You're non-responsive. What do you mean I'm non-responsive? I offered you all the money. You told me, then you sent Cosgrove in and tell me not to file. Now, a year and a half later, now you're telling me I'm non-responsive and I go $300,000. Well, now I don't have $300,000. So guess what $300,000 is? 2 to 5 years in prison. And of course, they try and set you up with a lot of fraud. They say like, say if a car has a book value of $15,000 and I got one that's smashed in the door and I sell it for $8,000. They say, hey, you wrote that car up cheaper and you owe us another $7,000 in sales tax money, sales tax on $7,000 and you committed fraud. So then you have these charges of fraud. So they try and get you for 5 years in jail. They kind of do that with other guys. But with me, they're doing this kind of sneaky. They sent this other guy in. So now I'm like nervous wreck. Like, what the hell am I going to do? So what I did was I thought, you know what, that guy Cosgrove, I can tell when people are lying. He was sincere. He said, don't file the past stuff. He wasn't lying to me. That's what they told him to tell me. So I called him on the phone because he left his business card, and I record my phone conversations. And I said, Mr. Cosgrove, remember me? Yeah, Tony, I remember you. I still have the recording. But I had to do it twice because they hacked my computer and they deleted the phone calls. And my phone, they hacked my phone too, which I want to go into all of that right now. But they can hack your phone. But first, they'll empty out your cloud in your Google Drive, and then they'll make your phone do an unauthorized factory restore, which erases everything. Then when you go to restore your phone, all your backups are gone. So, and then they go into your computer, they go through your Gmails, they selectively take out what they want. And so they don't delete the whole account. They just take out the evidence stuff. And they wanted specifically my sent files, like who I sent my documentation to. They wanted to know exactly who it was. So, but none of those people did anything with it anyway. They were all afraid to touch this subject because this is the key to the money. So back to the Cosgrove thing and that. I'm a nervous wreck. I'm going to jail for 5 years. Like, what the hell am I going to do? I got no way out of this. So I'm 69 now. So this is like 3 years ago. I'm 65 years old. I'm going to go to. I've never been arrested in my life. Outside of a speeding ticket. I don't even have car accidents. I never had a car accident that was my fault. I got hit a couple of times, but I usually let the people go. Only twice I had to call a cop, because the cars were like non-drivable. But they were not my fault. Anyway, that has nothing to do with this. This stuff, if you have the time to listen to me, it's really worth it in a way because it can happen to anybody. So on Richie with Donald Trump, yeah, Donald Trump is a Zionist. Zionists is the problem. Look at how, and I have videos on it, how Israel was created. The real story. They had no right to do that to those Palestinian people. And all those people are fighting for is their land back. Look at the Greater Israel Plan. Netanyahu gave it a year ago in the UN, a little more than a year ago, a year and 6 months ago, a year and a half ago. He gave a plan of the Greater Israel. And the Greater Israel includes Iran, Iraq, parts of Egypt, Jordan, Kuwait. That's the Greater Israel Plan. So their plan is Netanyahu, the psychopath. Their plan is to kill all of those people, Semite people. And they're not even Semites. They have no Semite blood in them. I have more Semite blood in them than they do. So they're from Khazaria, which you're not taught about in history because history is skewed. So this guy, I didn't know what to do with the sales tax thing. I had no clue what to do with that. And I'm praying to God. And I'm having heart palpitations, like literally. I go to a heart doctor, get a medication and everything. Like, I don't know what to do with this. I'm beaten again. They took everything from me and they won't stop. I won't stop too, but they won't stop. They have nothing to fear from me. I can't do nothing to them except for do this. And no one's going to watch 55 minutes of Tony talking about what happened because they don't care because it's not them. It didn't happen to you. It doesn't matter. When somebody comes and chops your kid's arms off, then you're angry, But before that, you don't care. You're not saying a word about anything. Then you're going to look around like I did. How come nobody's helping me? Why doesn't anyone come to my aid? This is America. No, the courts will help me. The police will help me. No, they won't. Depends on who the person is that cut your kid's arms off. If he's protected, you're the one who's going to get locked up. And your kid's still not going to have any arms. And you're never going to get any compensation for it. They ruined my life and my children's lives. I mean, I have good kids, but they ruined their lives. They ruined their choice, their chance to go to college. They ruined a lot of things on them. Things that we could have done as a family or a vacation. They ruined everything on me because my kids were young then. They put me like a worm. They killed me without killing me. That's what they did to me. They destroyed me and killed me without actually killing me. Even though I was doing nothing but good for the world. They killed me financially. They control you financially. You're afraid to lose your job because You'll lose everything. You'll be me. You won't stand up for what's right. You're afraid. You don't trust in Jesus. You say you follow Jesus. No, you don't, because you don't trust in him. I happen to have a little bit luckier situation where I spoke to God personally. I don't care if you believe me or not, but for an 8-year-old back in 1963 to have an out-of-body experience after he gets hit by a car, that he's dead and he knows he's dead. I knew I was dead. And have a conversation with God and then wake up in the road with a doctor over me, who somehow disappeared after nobody ever saw the doctor or knew who he was. And I mean, I was almost ripped in half from my side. Like, yeah. And my whole forehead was all scarred, like a big scar, like a burn victim scar. You can kind of see in the camera, can't really see it. I mean, I had a hole in the back of my head. Scars all over my legs. They're all gone. You can't even see them. So trust me, and I'm not talking about the things that at me or the lights flashing around me. I'm not talking about any of that mystical stuff. I'm talking about just straight up things that happened to me. Now, to finish that story with the sales tax thing. One day I was praying and it came to me to call the Treasury Department of New Jersey since they're over sales tax. So I called up the Treasury Department and I got a nice woman on the phone. And I said, listen, this is what happened. And they came in. I offered them the money. They said no. Then they sent this guy in, tell me not to file. And I followed their instruction. You would too. The police officer tells you, go over here, stand there. You go stand over there. You do what he tells you to do. He says, give me your driver's license. You do it. This is an agent. He has a badge, everything. He says, don't file this stuff. Okay, I'm not going to do that. I'll do what you tell me. I did what's figuring he's the representative of sales tax. I do what he tells me. They have amnesty that year is what he told me. So I tell her all of that stuff, and she said to me two things. Did they benefit? Well, yeah, they benefited, because here's the difference. If I even would have paid them all the money, and say if they had fines that were $10,000 or $20,000 over what I owed, that's just a misdemeanor. That's like, there's no jail time. There's no nothing. It's like a judgment. That's what that is, right? But if you owe them over $75,000, that's a second-degree crime. So when they came in, they didn't realize. So I did another little thing. See, this is just things about being smart. When you're a car dealer, you buy a car from another dealership, it comes, or even if you buy it privately off the road, they sign it on the back to you. And you take it and you put it in your drawer, and then most car dealers would take all those titles and bring them to motor vehicle and have them flipped into the dealership's name. But if you don't flip them into the dealership's name, they don't know you have them. So when they came to see me, I didn't flip most of my cars into my company name. They were still just a reassignment on the back, which is legal document. And I would just do it all at once with a reassignment, which is not hard, which is hard to explain. All to simply know is when they first came in to see me, they didn't know how many cars I had. They thought I only had like 3 or 4 cars, or I had like 30 cars. They didn't know that. So all the other cars I had, they were unaware of. So when I offered them the money, they didn't know what to do. So they said, no, we don't want it. So did they benefit? Yes, they benefited. They brought it to a second-degree crime, which is 5 years in jail. Now, why do they want to put an old scumbag like me in jail? Like, what is it to their advantage instead of taking the money in the first place? Why wait a year and a half? And they wouldn't approve my other location, so I had nowhere to sell cars for a year and a half. So actually, I kind of duffed out I had 4 cars left when I got the letter for the year and a half later. And we're right in the middle of COVID in 2020. And so I just gave him my license, and, but the lady in the Treasury, she gave me intake. And she wanted me to file a complaint against them, an intake. And I talked to that guy 5 minutes on the phone, and I already knew that they sent my file to him. And you know what? The judge is going to say this, but you still owe the money after it's all gone. Well, okay, I still owe the money. Where's my $40 million that the judge fixed, or the warrant of removal that threw me out of my house that was forged. What about that stuff? What they took from me? Oh wait, that don't count. That's different subject. Well, you lost in court. You got a jury. Well, you clocked out all the evidence. I did tell you in this video about the trial when I came back early from lunch, and the stenographer was the only one there. It was just me and the stenographer and her girlfriend in the room. And when I sat down, they didn't hear me come in because the door was already open when I walked in, and I sat down in my chair. The stenographer was so busy talking to her girlfriend, who was facing directly at me, but from across the courtroom, and she's talking about me. She's pointing to me over her shoulder, and she's going like this, and she's telling her they're fucking this guy. Yeah, the judges are all corrupt, and the people who worked there are corrupt. She knew that they were screwing me in the case, but she didn't say nothing. She could have reported that judge. Was she afraid to lose her job? You can't lose your job for doing something right. That's what's wrong with the country. You're never, ever going to fix it. Donald Trump's a Zionist. I doubt they'll even let him in office. J.D. Vance is the guy they want. He will bring in their new world order. Martial law will come in before that happens anyway. So the way I got out of the sales tax was recording that guy and having them refuse money. So if you owe tax money and the IRS guy, you say, listen, I owe you $20,000. I can give you $5,000 now, or I can give you $10,000. Like, they have to take it. They can't refuse it. They refused over $100,000, $120,000 from me. They refused it. They're not allowed to do that. That's against the law. That's not their job. I give them $120,000. They have to take it. They didn't. They wanted to put me in jail. And I got out of that. All of that has to do with the SID thing about them laundering billions of dollars of tax dollars. And the problem with it is that I have the evidence of how they do it. And that evidence shows how they do it around the country. And it would be so easy to catch the people who are doing it, just based on the evidence I have. So if you went to Pennsylvania, you just find the same people. And you could stop them from funding Antifa and Black Lives Matter and these, I don't know, crazy MK Ultra candidates, and see how much they want to use their own money. But I think it's kind of too late for the U.S. I have some prophecy videos up, some things that God enlightened me to. Okay, we're over an hour. I'm going to end this. And I want to say thank you to God for everything he's done for me. And I would not be the person I am today if it wasn't for all the horrible things that happened to me. This is what opened my eyes, all the suffering. All the suffering made me see what's going on in this world. And I was awake way before the Donald Trump decided to run for office, and they decided to divide everybody by letting some truths out here and there. They know very well how to divide people, and they do it with frequencies, and they classify you first, and then they feed you. And the internet's perfect for that, but they really want the Elon Musk chip in your head so they can really feed you what they want and control you. So you think you know what's going on? Trust me, there's a lot more going on. That's why I say Richie from Boston is a good guy to watch. Okay, God bless everyone. Be thankful for what you have, and pray for your eyes to be open to see past the veil. The way to talk to God is to listen and pay attention to the coincidences. If you pay attention to the coincidences, you will hear God, and then it will be a feeling that won't go away. That'll be in your head, like, I gotta do this, even though you think, I don't really want to do that, but like, I gotta do it. Like, I don't want to make these videos, but something pointed me to Richie from Boston, and I wanted to make this video for people like him. But I want him to watch it because I think I have something that would be helpful to him. Okay. God bless again, and take care. Sorry for rattling so much. I have a lot of anxiety going on right now. There's a lot of stuff going on. Take care. And God bless again. Go back to God. Become a godly person. Bear good fruit, not bad fruit. I can't say it any simpler than that.